हरे कृष्ण ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Hare Krishna. So we'll continue the discussion on purpose. We are chatting this 13th chapter. It is a very interesting chapter. It is a very practical chapter for many people, and nice instructions are given in this. Very helpful to understand. I'll try to see some of the very. I will try to take one very important discussion maybe for the whole chapter. So as we discussed previously, also for every chapter I'll take one topic. So for this also I have one topic to discuss. We'll see in due course of time. In between, I may skip some classes this week also because I'm traveling. But still, whenever I get opportunity, we will try to cover this. Sutta Vacha Viduras Tirtha Yatrayam Maitreyad Atmano Gatim ज्ञात्वा ज्ञात्वागात् आस्तिनापुरं पै तया वाप्ता vivitsitam. So the Goswami said, while traveling on pilgrimage, Vidura received knowledge of the destination of self from the great sage Maitreya and then returned to Hastinapur. He became as well versed in the subject had his desire. But so here this is about Vidura, so I will not read about Vidura. We'll just go about it is describing about Vidura. You can read some homework for it. Next shloka says, Yavata Pritavan Pashyan Shatta Kausharava Pritaha Jataik Bhaktir Govinde Debhyas Chopara. After asking various questions and becoming established in transcendental living service of Krishna, Vidura returned from putting questions to Maitreya. So this comes for us in the third canto. What conversation happened? Only three cantos. The three cantos only Vidura hears. He does not go till 10th canto. And by the time he feels that this is good enough for me to enlighten my Buddha, and he has such a great devotion for the Lord also. So it becomes for him very easy to understand about Lord. Of course, some briefly the Lord's pastimes are explained. Vidya retired from putting questions before Maitreya Muni when he was convinced by Maitreya Rishi that the summum bonum of life is to be finally situated in the transcendental loving service of Lord Sri Krishna, who is Govinda, or one who satisfies his devotees in all respects. So, the living being in material existence seeks happiness by employing his senses in modes of materialism, but that cannot give him satisfaction. He then searches after the supreme truth by the empirical, philosophical, speculative method and intellectual fields. If he does not find the ultimate goal, he again goes down to the mental activities and engage himself in various philanthropic and altruistic works, which also fail to give him satisfaction. So neither fruitive activities nor dry philosophical speculation can give one satisfaction because by nature a living being is eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and all the Vedic literatures give him directions towards the ultimate end. Bhagavad Gita confirms this statement. Like Vidra, an inquisitive conditioned souls must approach a bona fide spiritual master like Maitreya and by intelligent inquiries must try to know everything about karma, fruitive activities, jnana, philosophical search for the supreme truth and yoga, the linking process of spiritual realization. One who is not seriously inclined to put questions before a spiritual master need not accommodate a show bottle spiritual master, nor should a person who may be a spiritual master for others supposed to be so if he is unable to engage his disciples ultimately in the transcendental loving service of Lord's Spirit. Vidura was successful in approaching such a spiritual master like Maitreya, and he got the ultimate goal of life, bhakti, unto Govinda. Thus, there was nothing to be known further about spiritual progress. Very interesting about spiritual master and devotional service. It is completely established in loving devotional service. This is a very important point I want to share here about bhakti. What it is that what is difference between karma and bhakti? In karma, you do an activity and offer everything to Krishna. Uttarvasi Krishna, Siddhivoti Dadasi, Uttapasya Kaunteya, Matturusvati Vippanam. This is also in one way karma bhakti. And in karma, everything you do and you offer it to Krishna. That is what is people understand, and that is karma only. But what exactly is bhakti? Bhakti is something different. Bhakti is you don't offer it to Krishna, your activity. You offer yourself to Krishna. That means whatever you do, it becomes Krishna's only. Say now, that means the ego need to be changed. Please try to understand. If somebody is employed by a company, now whatever he works that 8 hours, everything belongs to the company only. He offers it to the whatever results of the activity he has done. He will offer it to the company and he comes out. Never he will feel that this work is for mine. He knows all the time that I belong to this company. Say you belong to Tata, and we work for the Tata, and we know everything I am doing it's for Tata only. Like I wanted some interview in one TV channel after, and there was one Mataji who was working in another news channel. He's working as a reporter. Right? We wanted some interview for our channel. I asked, "Can you work? Can you take an interview?" And she said, "No, they'll not allow." Of course, they allowed for one session. I want to little more. Yes, she said, "Now I am hired by them. I need to only work for them. I cannot work for anybody. It's strawberry." Now that is how it comes. The ego is started identifying. When you go to a company, you are already given a designation. Without giving designation, people cannot work in a company. That is a problem. The designation is so much important. Otherwise, people don't know what to do. They are told, okay, you are a junior engineer, you are senior engineer, you are a project manager or delivery manager, you are general manager. The designations are very important. What happens with designation? Designation will help a person to get a proper ego, identify with it, and then he will be able to perform his job. Similarly, for us also, if we have this designation, I am servant of Krishna, then we are going to perform our activities without getting affected. And we know that everything is for Krishna. But what happens is that means we lose our independence, and which we don't want to lose. Everybody is working for freedom, and we fight for freedom. We want nobody should encroach upon our freedom. That's the reason if you see any country or any place or anything, they all have this security, defense ministers. Every country has defense minister. Why? They want to be independent. They want to be free. Similarly, we also, our ego also has this defense mechanism. We also have a defense minister who does not allow us, our ego to do this activity. I said, how can you be servant? You are the boss. There the problem comes for us. We don't want to accept that I am servant. Then we theoretically accept, but there is resistance inside which stops us from doing this activity. When we are able to give up that resistance, then we are able to practice pure devotion. Means, of course, now also we are doing pure devotion, trying to do pure devotion. Of course, we are doing pure devotion only because our ultimate aim is clear. Why we are not able to completely overcome some of the things is this ego is stopping because that freedom we don't want to lose. We are so much with that freedom, and that ego is holding on to us. But here, establishing transcendental loving devotion to Siddhara. And this is what he understood. And then we can say the conditions of the living entity being in material existence seeks happiness by employing the senses in modes of material, but cannot give him satisfaction. He then searches after the supreme truth by empirical, philosophical, speculative method and intellectual feats. This is jnana and yoga. But it is not going to work only. We are not going to get complete satisfaction with it. It is a spiritual master. When they saw Vidura return to the palace, all the inhabitants, Maharaj Yudhishthir, his younger brothers, Dhritarashtra, Satyaki, Sanjaya, Kripacharya, Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, Uttara, Kripi, many other wives of the Kauravas and other ladies with children, all hurried to him in great delight. It so appeared that they had regained their consciousness after a long period. To know about these personalities are given Gandhari, Pratha, and Draupadi. That is homework for you because it's about personalities, so we are not going to discuss. It says, with great delight, they all approached him as if life has returned to their bodies. They welcomed each other in due manner by exchanging obeisances and embraces. The absence of consciousness, the limb of the body remains inactive. But when consciousness returns, the limbs and senses become active and existence itself becomes delightful. Vidura was so dear to the members of Kaurav family that his long absence from the palace was comparable to inactivity. All of them were feeling acute separation from Vidura, and therefore his return to the palace was joyful for all. This is actually very important. If somebody leaves, na, people are very happy. When this person leaves, all the situation is good, but only that person's anger or that person's behavior makes everything complicated in some people, some situations. That is, but some people, wherever they are there, they'll make everybody happy. So there are situations like that, there are people like that. We should be in the category of people who will make the whole situations light and happy. We should not make complicated. Our anger, especially, makes other people very uncomfortable. Everybody is happy, but when suddenly you come and you start shouting, everybody's consciousness goes down. That should not be the that we should not be cause of such situations. We should try to make everything light and make people try to be happy. And we can help everybody follow the rules, but the way we tell should be very, very cordial. That is what is very important. I have seen people, they are with the rules, but they cannot speak very politely. Then I feel everybody is happy, and because of them, everyone becomes unhappy. Unnecessarily spoil the situations. And it is unfortunate for them also, others also. And it says, due to anxieties and long separations. So here Vidra is such a person, everybody is very happy to be with him. He is a person who is all main what happens is we should be able to accept people, accept what they are. Don't try to change them. Then things are very easy in life. Otherwise, it's very, very tough. It's very tough. We start expecting and then we get frustrated. They behave in a particular way which we don't like, and every time they behave like that because that is their nature. And this is what I am understanding in all situations. And of course, when we accept other person, we have to accept another person means we are able to tolerate whatever he is. That's what is accepting. We don't get irritated the way he behaves. We know, okay, he's going to behave like that. And then it will be easy for others also. They will be able to feel comfortable in our presence because we don't judge them. Accepting means no judgmentalism. They'll be feeling very comfortable in this. And here is such a personality like Vidura. Due to anxieties and long separations, they all cried out of affection. King Yudhishthir then arranged to offer sitting accommodations and a reception. Now, of course, here Vidura is not going to be, if we say you are accepting, but Vidura is not going to accept Dhritarashtra what he is. He will forcefully change him. Now, this is a different thing. This is out of compassion. You're accepting a person, but you also show compassion to help him to get out of this condition. Like we may accept our children or our brother, sister, whatever they are, but still we try to push them little bit so that they also accept Krishna conscious and benefit. And it is not pushing, forceful pushing. It is, of course, Balaprad is preaching only, but what is important here is the aspect of compassion and also the this is what is actually going to touch the person. And along with that, there is enlightenment. It's not just 10. Every time you tell check, they'll say, oh, it's, but we have to give some enlightenment. And here in this case of Dhritarashtra, Vidura did after so many years. Dhritarashtra is so old now. And we can see the symptoms of cancer which Vidura is going to explain in future. At that time, Vidura thought this is too much because he had tried to help him all his life and he tried to accept him. But at the old age, when he felt that it is no use, this person is going to unnecessarily go to hell. That time Vidura has to use forceful preaching. But in general, we try to avoid forceful preaching. We try to help them develop some security and then we will help them to provide their Krishna consciousness. We should not force anybody to do. It will not work. And what happens is they may do for some time, but after that they become completely averse. And especially this happens with children in Krishna conscious families. They will do till age of 13, 14. Just waiting when I'll get freedom. And after that, they will not even look at the deity of Krishna only. This is actually I have seen in some cases. This is why because there was some force that is applied initially, and children they don't have freedom, they do it. And of course, in Gurukuls also, this is another thing that happened. People studied in Gurukul. Some became very good devotees, but not all. This is another problem. Anyway, here Vidra is going to do such preaching. We'll discuss it even more later. After Vidra ate sumptuously and with sufficient rest, he was comfortably seated. Then the king began to speak to him, and all who were present there listened. Now Vidra, he initially when they came, they gave him nice everything comfortable. Then they are asking. King Yudhishthira was expert in reception also. Even the case of his family members. Vidra was well received by all the family members. The exchange of embrace and obedience after the bathing and arrangement for a complete dinner was made, and then he was sufficient. But after finishing his rest, he was offered a comfortable place to sit. And then the king began to talk about all habits, both family and others. It was often made to receive an old friend or even an enemy. According to Indian moral codes, even an enemy received at home should be so well received that he will not feel any fearful situation. An enemy is always afraid of his enemy, but this should not be so when he is received at home by his enemy. It means that a person who received at home should be treated as a relative. So what to speak of family members is Vidura was a wisher for all the members of the family. This Yudhishthira began to speak in the presence of all other members. This is actually Vedic culture. Atithi Devo Bhava. Tithi means according to time. Atithi means one who came without information. Now people don't want to be any Atithi in their own. It has been built or made. But previously, this is actually the culture. Why he Atithi has given so much respect? Why he should be worshipped as good as God, literally as God only? Because it helps the growers to come out of their material conditioning very fast. They understand that whatever I have does not belong to me. It is Lord's. If Lord is sending anybody, I need to receive him so properly, and he is the Lord. That is the point. Otherwise, the possessive level attachment is so strong, it's difficult to get rid of it unless someone has practiced in this way. Like they say, of course, now we don't follow all these things. It's not practical also, but some of the things, why such rules were there, like after cooking, you should go out of home and you should shout 3 times, is there any hungry person? And if you are hungry, then you are to, then they will feed you, then only they can take. So such things are there. Uh, Now, when there is a question, just you said some become good devotees. So, what is that which actually made some children become good devotees? What happens is we have to help them to awaken their intelligence. Instead of forcing the rules on them, let them accept the rules and let them follow on their own. Then it will be very easy. Now, we came to Krishna consciousness. Somebody told us, but after we got convinced, then it became easy for us. Now, nobody needs to force us to follow. We ourselves, like somebody tell, okay, attend morning class, but this class which you are attending is not compulsory for you. You are supposed to attend this Bhagavatam classes. That means what? You are awakened. You are feeling the need. That is what we have to do for anybody. They have to feel the need that I need it. For that, we have to give them proper intelligence, proper knowledge. It should not be forced. How we have to do is understanding what are their doubts, trying to help them overcome their doubts. Some people have a desire to enjoy, some children oriented to come. She has a desire to enjoy in this material. And we should not, we should not completely content. Then what happens? They will put off. They will just wait for when they get opportunity to enjoy. Because they had a desire to enjoy, but we are not allowing them. It's actually very sensitive thing. But main thing is what I'm understanding is if we awaken, like yesterday I was talking to some children. They are one ninth class, one is 12th class. For brother and sister, up to many children. They talking about, 10, 12 children came for discussion. And then they asked very, very intelligent question and about Krishna, about material creation. And now when I am trying to very properly answer them, they are satisfied. When they are satisfied, for them to practice and continuously are doing Harinam, they are very enthusiastically participating and they are only organizing. And almost we had some 60 children and big people today for Harinam. Now these two children they organize. They are getting convinced with the philosophy and they themselves are trying to do. It is not actually chanting. Chanting is not compulsory. We have to make them understand the proper philosophy. And we have to tell them that chant one or two rounds is a gratitude for what you are getting. That is compulsory. Chanting 16 notes is not. For children, you have to teach them to be grateful for what they are receiving. That is the training we have to give. Like any parent they teach, better thank you, tell thank you. Why thank you? You have to be grateful. Whatever you are getting, somebody is giving anything, you tell them, my dear son, now you tell thank you to auntie, tell thank you to uncle when we give some sweet or something. Similarly, when Krishna we are receiving sunlight, water, and all these things from moon we are receiving. From nature we are receiving, from God we are receiving. Why not say thank you to God by chanting Hare Krishna mantra of one mala or two mala? That is what I feel compulsory. Beyond that, whatever they want to do more than that 10 rounds, 8 rounds, that should be on their own. They should feel inspired. We can inspire them. Why don't you chant more? If they feel inspired, it's okay. Go on to compulsory. I think. It is not parents when they are now children, slowly, slowly, if they don't hear the classes, they have complete misunderstanding about the matter. They may become Krishna conscious very seriously, maybe after age of 30, but this is a foundation for them because there is a wrong conception about this world that will be cleared. Why enjoy? Why we cannot enjoy this material world? That should be very made very clear for children. That will help them in a long way. If not now, I think philosophy will remain. They may not seriously practice because they need sufficient sukriti. Once this sukriti matures, then all knowledge will help them and understand and they will remember because they got this training in the beginning. It's not a question of standing, it's the question of that enlightenment which they are eventually going to do. So you can continue and once they understand things properly, then it will be very good. It's not a loss. It's continue doing that service of taking kids and that will be it's a very, very important thing, especially nobody is doing all enough this. Otherwise only TV will do and TV will do whatever it wants. It will be a great disaster for the children. Since people are putting Kerala stories and all, they're telling nobody is training the children. Yeah, this is the responsibility of parents. They themselves don't train the children. And that's why we have to do this service. Whatever we know, we try to help the children. So now we are having some children coming to our program here and help them. Because they need somebody to guide them, they need somebody to help them to understand what is the truth. If someone is helping, I take Saturday youth classes, there also youth comes and they are very eager to know the truth. They may not seriously practice because they have some questions. You answer them and eventually it will help them. At least they will remain favorable and that will increase their security and then they will go. That is what I am doing. Yes, Satish. So here I was telling about uh, I forgot only why a Grasta should invite because the tendency to hold on things is very strong for Grasta. That's why there is envy in the heart. But when we start giving, then we give up our envy. We'll be free from envy, and then we'll be able to progress in spiritual direction. This is the greatest. As soon as if I say this is mine, immediately we are envious because we start comparing our things with others. That is default setting. Mine, if I say, then the way, and then you have your house, your car, you have your boundary, and then what has happened in the other mine, 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 mine. That is the reason we need to follow this thing. It's not okay, bro, we are doing bhakti, we are beyond Varnashrama. Yes, we are beyond Varnashrama. But these are the things from the Varnashrama which are very, very favorable for our for how you invite guests to your house, try to feed them. You will see so much pain comes in the heart initially. There is so much money spent, so much, and I'm calling the guest, and so much money I have to spend on these people. But eventually, you start experiencing great pleasure. And if you don't call any guest to your house and you don't cook and feed, you feel very sad. Nobody's coming to my house. You want anybody comes to the temple, any senior brahmachari, grandpa, sannyasi who come to temple for giving program, you immediately want them to invite to your house and feed them. That should be the main inspiration because we are entering service. We are accepting them as our master and we want to render more and more service to them. That itself, just feed prasadam and you will see that so much consciousness change, our attachment automatically goes away. That's how the formula is. Anyway, I am not in the, not very practical. I am giving some theoretical knowledge, but this is how the system works. That's what I feel. If somebody can who has that experience, you can discuss with them some grahastas who regularly invite guests to their house and feed them. You can talk to them. You can see how much they have great realization. I have seen that grahastas of such quality, great realization, and they are so blissful in Krishna consciousness. That's how it is. Maharaj used to said, my uncle, do you remember how you always protected us along with our mother from all sorts of calamities? You Your partiality, like the wings of a bird, saved us from poison and erosion. Due to Pandu's death at an elderly age, his minor children and widow were subject to special care by all the elderly members of the family, especially Bhishmadev and Vidura. Vidura was more or less partial to the Pandavas due to their political position. Although Dhritarashtra equally careful for the minor children of Maharaj Pandu. He was one of the intriguing parties who wanted to wash away the descendants of Pandu and replace them by raising his own sons to become the ruler of the Mahatma Vidura could follow this intrigue of Dhritarashtra and company, and therefore, even though he was faithful servitor of his elder brother Dhritarashtra, he did not like his political ambition for the sake of his own sons. He was therefore very careful about the protection of the Pandavas and their own widowhood. Thus, he was so to speak partial to the Pandavas, preferring them to the sons of Dhritarashtra, although he was equally affectionate to both parties in ordinary eyes. He was equally affectionate to both camps of nephews in the sense that he always chastised Duryodhana for his intriguing policy against his girl. He always criticized his elder brother, for his policy for encouraging to his son. At the same time, was always alert in giving special protection to the Pandavas. All these different activities of Vidura within the palace, political, made him well known as the partial to the Pandavas. Yudhishthir was as referred to the past of history of Vidura before his going with Gangahon for a prolonged pilgrimage journey. Maharaj Yudhishthir reminded him that he was both kind and partial to his grown up nephews, even after the Battle of Kurukshetra, a great family. Actually, Vidura was the only person who protested against Draupadi's betting campaign, and then he leaves the assembly. That's why he was killed. Because many Muslims who were present in the gambling uh, for the battle of Kurukshetra, Dhritarashtra policy was uh, peaceful annihilation of his nephews, and therefore he ordered uh, Pulo- Purosana to build a house of land at Varnavas, and when the building was finished, Dhritarashtra desired that his brother's family live there for some time. The Pandavas going there in the presence of all members of royal family, Dhritarashtra actually gave instructions to the Pandavas about the future plan of this state. This is typically described in Mahabharata. The indirect benefit not made of steel or any other material and can be can more than sharp enough to kill an enemy. He who knows this is never true. That is to say, he hinted with a party of Pandavas had been sent to Karnava to be killed. Thus, he warned it to be careful in their new residential. He also gave indications of fire and said that fire cannot extinguish the soul but can annihilate the material body. But one who protects the soul can do. Kunti could not possess such indirect conversation between Maharaj Yushta and Vidura. Thus, when she inquired from her son about the purport of the conversation, Yushta replied that from the talks of Vidura it was understood that there was a hint of fire in the house where they were proceeding. Later on, Vidura came in disguise to the Pandavas, informed them that the housekeeper was going to set fire to the house of the 14th night of the day. It was an intrigue of Vidura's turn. Pandavas altogether with their so Indras warned the Pandavas escaped to a tunnel underneath the earth so that their escape was unknown to Dhritarashtra. So much so that after seeing setting the fire, the Kauravas certain the death of the Pandavas as well as performed the last rest with great fearfulness. During the morning period, all the members of the palace became overwhelmed with lamentation, but Dhritarashtra did not listen because of his knowledge that the Pandavas were alive. There are many such instances of calamities, and each of them Vidura gave to tried to restrain his brother Dhritarashtra from taking just by the birth of his wife. One more important thing is when Pandavas were in 13 years of forest and 1 year of incognito. That time also Kunti Maharani stayed with Vidura. That is another thing because she could not go because she is already very old. So then they decide that okay she can stay with Vidura. So in that way he gave so much help to the Pandavas. Like that. And so this is the story part. While traveling on the surface of earth, how did you maintain your livelihood? At which holy place and pilgrim site did you render service? This about Vidura. And simple purpose. Vidura went out from the palace to detach himself from household affairs, especially political intrigues. As referred to herein before, he was practically insulted by Duryodhana's calling him as a son of Shudran. Although it was not out of palace to talk loosely in the case of one's grandmother, Vidura's mother, although a Shudrani, was a grandmother of Duryodhana, and funny talks are sometimes allowed between grandmother and godchildren. But because the remark was an actual fact, it was unpalatable talk to Vidura and it was accepted as a direct insult. He therefore decided to quit his parental home and preferred for the renounced daughter of life. This preparatory stage is called Vanaprastha Ashram, a retired life for traveling and visiting holy places on the surface of the holy place of in the holy place of Indra like India like Vrindavan, Haridwar, Jagannath Puri and Prayag. There are many great devotees and there are still free kitchen houses for persons who desire to advance spiritually. Maharaj is still inquisitive to learn whether Indra maintained himself by mercy of the free kitchen houses. So here one important thing is when Vidra was insulted, he took an opportunity to get detached. This is a very important activity everybody should do, to work on getting detached from the physical world. Otherwise, so difficult to uh, come out of these conditions. Very, very difficult. And I have seen very old people also. They were very religious people, but for them to come out of this conditioning and is so difficult. And because to without being affectionate, you cannot stay at home. And if you are affectionate, means there is attachment also. So complicated. So, so anyway, भवद्विधा भावता स्थितभूता स्वयंभू तानि स्वन्तस्तेनागतावृतः. It's a very famous verse, uh, yeah, which take right. My Lord, devotees like your good self are really holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of God within your heart, you turn all places into places of peace. The personality of God is omnipresent by his divine potency. Everywhere, just as power of electricity is distributed everywhere within space. Similarly, the Lord's omnipresence is perceived and manifested by unallowed devotees like Vidra. Just as electricity is manifested in an electric bulb, the pure devotee like Vidra always feel the presence of Lord everywhere. This is everything is in the potency of the Lord, and the Lord is everything. The holy places are all over earth are meant for purifying the polluted consciousness of human being. When atmosphere are such a by an atmosphere such as the presence of the Lord's unallowed devotees. If anyone visits a holy place, he must search out the pure devotees residing in such holy places. Take lessons from them. Try to apply such instructions in practical life and thus gradually prepare oneself for the ultimate salvation, going back to Godhead. To go to some holy places of pilgrimage does not mean only to take bath in the Ganges or Yamuna or to visit the temple situated in. One should also find representatives of Vidra who have no desire in life save and except to serve the personality of God. The personality of God is always such pure devotees because they are of the unalloyed service, which is without any tinge of brutal activities or utopian speculation. They are in the actual service of the Lord, specifically by the service of by the process of hearing and chanting. The pure devotees hear from the authorities and chant, sing, and write of the glories of the Lord. Mahamuni Vyasadeva heard them from Narada and then he chanted them in writing. So the Goswami situated, studied them from his father and he described them to Parikshit. That is the way of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, by their actions, the pure devotees of Lord can render any place into a place of pilgrimage and the holy place of birth of the name only by its on their account. Such pure devotees are able to rectify the polluted atmosphere of any place, and what to speak of the holy place rendered unholy by questionable actions of interested persons who try to adapt professional life at the cost of reputation of holy. So, oh, I'm sorry. Uh, Even Srila Prabhupada left when he realized the fact that his family is no more favorable for practicing devotional service. Yeah, especially when he gave a strong impetus for him to take up his spiritual order seriously. Yeah, that is true. Devotees actually take every situation as an opportunity to come closer to. Thank you all very much. Somehow I managed. Hopefully tomorrow also we'll do some verses. This is I have some important topics to cover in this. We will try to see one of the videos. I'll try to take time and we can actually 60 verses are there. Hopefully. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.